folks, Greg Marchand here. Welcome to another episode of the Virtual Instructor-Led Training Program brought to you by the Service Sales Academy. In this episode, I'd like to talk to you about the importance of word tracks. Now, there's a lot of misnomers about word tracks, but they are a tremendous tool to develop as a service advisor. Develop your selling skills and develop your customer communication skills. What are word tracks? What? Huh? Why are we even talking about this? Why should I use word tracks, Greg? They can't really help me. Can they? Actually, they can. They can help you a lot, believe it or not. Now, basically, word tracks are practice. They're practice for the brain. See, here's the fascinating thing to me. And they've proven this with science. You can go Google it and you look it right up. They used to do this with Olympic athletes. They discovered years ago that your brain doesn't know the difference between pretend, or practice, and the real thing. Go figure. They put Olympic athletes, wired them up with whatever brain sensors they use, and sent them off to do their thing. And they recorded the electrical responses in the brain. And then they brought them back and they stuck them in a dark room, wired them up the same, and said, visualize your performance. And you know what they discovered? The same electrical signals happened at the same time during the performance as the visualization. That's why practice works. That's why word tracks work. This means that you can use word tracks to improve your selling, to improve your customer satisfaction skills, to improve your communication skills. Word tracks are kind of cool. Now, get comfortable with word tracks. Allow you to get comfortable. So you get comfortable with word tracks. Word tracks allow you to get comfortable with the common things that you sell. And if you start to sell, if you want to sell something more, you want to sell more headlight restorations, or you want to sell more transmission flushers, or you want to sell more brake inspections, build yourself a word track that will help you get comfortable with selling. Because over time, you'll move away from the word track, and your brain will kind of take over, and you'll become more yourself. But the word track was the starting point. Even experienced service advisors practice with word tracks. If it's something they want to improve on, the smoother you get, the more you'll sell. But you got to start somewhere. And you can jumpstart the start by using word tracks. They're not substitutes for you. They're not substitutes for using your own words. They're starting points. They're not scripts either. A lot of people think word tracks, when I say word track, they get all up in arms. And they think it's a script. They think I want you to read to the customer what I want you to say. No, I don't. I don't want you to read it to the customer. A word track is a starting point. It's a thought starter, if you will. Word tracks don't take the place of you, and they never will. They're just a starting point. They get you to think about what might be effective. They give you something to modify, to make changes to, something to improve upon. And you know what? This sounds silly, but it works. They help you listen to yourself. You know, you can write something down and read it, and it's very different than if you read it out loud. My dad is a highly published author and in his field, and it was a niche field. And I would hear him at midnight talking to himself. I'd go into his office. I'd get out of bed and I'd go into his office. I'd say, Daddy, what are you doing? And he'd say, oh, I'm just reading what I wrote. I'm like, yeah, but you're reading it out loud. He says, well, yes, if I read it in my head, I hear one thing, but if I read it out loud, when your ears hear it, your brain processes it entirely differently. And you find mistakes. And you find the tone is off, or the wording is off, or that wasn't really what you meant. Or maybe there's a better way to explain this. And so word tracks can do this for you. If you write them down, or use somebody else's, and speak them out loud to yourself, you'll find something that gets really comfortable to you. And that's going to make you a better salesperson, make you a much better service advisor. What do you want to use word tracks for? Greetings. That works. Asking for the sale. If there's one thing you can do to get better at selling, it's ask for the sale. So use a word track to get better at asking for the sale. Explaining the 3 C's, complaint, cause, correction. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. You can use word tracks for all kinds of things. Those common services I mentioned earlier that you want to get better at selling or want to sell more of, or maybe you're incentivized on those. You're spiffed on those services. Use word tracks to get better at it. Here's an example of using a word track for your greeting. 3 different examples. Now here's how you use them. So I wrote these, right? You can write your own. I wrote these Read them. Good morning, XYZ Automotive. John speaking. How may I help you? Substitute your name in there for John. Does it feel natural to you? Look, it didn't used to feel natural to me, even though I wrote it, but I've said it so many times it feels perfectly natural to me. Thank you for calling XYZ Auto. John here, can I help you? I haven't said that one as much. I stumbled on it a little bit. All right? It's new to me. But you know what? The more I say it, the more I use it, the more comfortable. Or I might look at that and I go, you know what? I don't really like that. Or, hey, it's a great day here at XYZ Automotive. Are you calling about our fall tire special? Hey, I've said that one enough that I know it pretty well. Write your own down. What is your greeting? What is your greeting? What should your greeting be? Maybe you're brand new in the industry. Maybe your employer has a greeting for you. The one they want you to use all the time. You know what? Write it down. Say it to yourself again and again and again. You can even just read it to yourself. That's fine. If you say it out loud, it's even better. You can record it on your phone and listen to it. That's even better. That's how you use these word tracks. Here's one for asking for the sale. I have the part here, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, and I've reserved a technician and a bay for you. Can I have him get started? I'm asking for the sale. Can we get those tires rotated for you and the oil change done while we have your vehicle today? Think about what works for you. How do you ask for the sale? Or, even better, do you work with somebody that's fantastic at asking for the sale or greeting customers? And they have one of these? Can you write it down in a word track so that you can rehearse it? Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. Say it in front of the mirror. Record it on your phone. Listen to it on the way to work. Listen to it on the way home from work. Probably on the way to work. And make it yours. You can borrow somebody else's. Start with these if there's no other place to start. How about the 3 C's? Let me explain what the 3 C's are first. So the 3 C's are a great tool for communication. They're a great tool for service advisors to communicate with technicians and for service advisors to communicate with customers. Here's why. It simplifies what's wrong, why is it wrong, and what do we need to do to fix it. It's complaint, cause, correction. 3 C's. Complaint, cause, correction. The complaint is what the customer notices. Maybe it's what they brought the vehicle in for today. Or it could be what the customer would notice if they had noticed. It's what's wrong, right? It's the complaint. What's wrong? What would they have noticed? Cause. Second C. What caused this? Wheel bearing bad. Oil leak from rear pinion seal. Tire wear from lack of alignment. Correction. The last C. What do we need to do to make this cause make the complaint go away? So we have no more cause, and therefore we won't have any more complaint. So complaint, what the customer noticed, cause, what went wrong with it, and correction, what we need to do to take care of it, what we need to do to fix it. All right, now here's a word track related to the 3 C's. Mrs. Smith, the noise you were hearing, the complaint, the noise, right? The noise you were hearing is being caused by a worn out wheel bearing. Well, there's the cause. We'll need to replace that bearing to eliminate the noise and keep the vehicle operating as designed. Here's your correction. So the complaint was the noise. The noise you were hearing. Oh, yes, the noise I was hearing was caused by a worn out wheel bearing. Oh, the cause, a worn out wheel bearing, cause of the noise. What do we need to do to fix it? We need to replace that bearing to make the noise go away and return the vehicle to proper operation. Now notice what I didn't do in this example. I stayed right away from safety. I don't like to sell on safety if I absolutely can help it. There are times when the customer doesn't seem to understand that this really needs to be done, and I do need to use safety. And I'll say, look, you know what, if this wheel bearing gets bad enough, that wheel can fall apart. It can physically come apart. It is what is attaching your wheel to the automobile, ultimately. So we really do need to take care of it. Now, most of the time I stay away from safety. But take a word track like this, plug in your own 3 C's the next time you have to sell something, and see how it works for you. Practice with it. Use it for common services as well. Are you aware, Mrs. Smith, based on the mileage of your vehicle, that Honda recommends performing a brake fluid exchange? Let me explain. Use a word track. Write it down. I want to sell more brake fluid exchanges. I want to sell more transmission flushes. I want to sell more TPMS sensors. Whatever it may be. Create a word track. And hone your skills without the customer being there. See, I ask people in class all the time, Do you practice your ask? Do you practice your selling skills? And somebody every class goes, yep, I sure do. Every customer, every day, Greg. That is not the time to practice. See, the time to practice is when the customer is not there. Because there's only one way. You know, we like to say practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Perfect practice makes perfect. But let's take that one step further. How do you know it's perfect practice? You could be practicing it all wrong. And perfectly wrong practice makes perfectly wrong. How do we know? Feedback. So is it not better to use a word track, say it out loud, practice with each other, and say, hey, can I bounce something off you? See how you respond to this. Say your word track, even if it's reading it, and you might have to read it 20 times. That's okay. You're practicing with me. You're practicing with your fellow associate. Let them give you feedback. That'll give you perfect practice. And then when the customer comes in, you're not practicing on them. Think about it. Use word tracks. Let me show you the reason I'm about to recommend a transmission flush. So you're about to show me something, and you're about to recommend something. I'm not blindsiding you. Mrs. Smith, let me show you the reason I'm about to recommend a transmission flush. Take a look at this. And I've got fluid samples. This came out of your automobile, and this is brand new fluid. You can see the color of this, and if you wanted to, you could even smell it. I don't know if you want to, but you're welcome to. You'll notice it smells a little bit funny. It smells a little bit burnt. And the newer one smells very different. But you can at least see the visual difference. So this difference is why I'm recommending a transmission flush. But start with a word track to introduce it, to get yourself comfortable into the sales process. Okay? Word tracks are really, really important. You can read them to yourself. You can read them to somebody else. You can role play them if you want. You can practice that with somebody else. You can even stand in front of the mirror. I don't care. But write them down. Okay? Because you're going to use them on the phone too. And look, sometimes you can even read with them on the phone. No, that's more of a script, right? And we don't want to sound scripted. But look, I would rather have you sound scripted for the first 10 conversations and get really good at selling this over the phone. So the next 200 you actually get the sale. Then not sound so good for the first 50 and the next 150 get the sale. Okay? I'm 50 ahead if we do it this way. So it does sound scripted, yes. But you'll quickly get better at it. Very quickly. So personally, I'm okay with this. Don't use them for long, but use them long enough to develop your own style. And you will. You'll be amazed at how quickly you'll develop your own style. So just write one. Just start. Write one. Listen to those around you. Write down what they said. Write your own and ask others, you know, what do you think this should be? Get something in writing. Use ours. After you start to use it a few times, you'll start to make it yours. You'll modify the words. You'll make sure if you're using technical stuff that it's correct. Make sure you have a technician listen to it or have somebody with knowledge listen to it, and make sure what you're saying is not wrong, especially if there's technical stuff in there. But once you get the technically correct stuff, then you can modify it with your own words. And it won't take long, folks. It won't take long. Write it down in your notepad. You know, write down 10 common ones or 3 common ones or 1 common one you want to work on this week or next week or this month. You know, I use notes on my phone all the time. I use OneNote, I think it is. And I love it. It's right there on my phone. My phone's always with me. I pull that up. I go through that. Okay, now I'm ready for the sale. Pick up the phone, make a phone call. Or go out back, read it, get it in my mind, come back out, grab the customer, make the sale. You can record yourself. Like I say, you can listen to it in the car on the way to work. Record yourself. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's really going on and practice. So practice. Fool your brain. Get better at it. It will short-circuit. Short-circuit. No, it won't. Shortcut. It'll shortcut your learning process. That's the beauty of it all. Start with the ones we have here. Start with the ones in the, if you have a copy of the Automotive Service Selling Skills from class, use the ones that are in there. Just, make them yours, modify them. Take out what you don't like, add what you do like. Get comfortable with them and practice with them. Before you start the conversation, rehearse the word track, at least in your head. Rehearse the word track. Always, always, always assume the sale. When you're using these word tracks and you get done with the word track, think in your mind, customer just said yes. Customer just said go ahead and do it. Always assume the sale, because these word tracks, even though you're using them for maybe the ask or the education piece, they're going to help you get away from the habit of selling from your own wallet. They'll help you get into the habit of assuming the sale, and you'll get more yeses. See in your mind things going well. You'll be amazed at how well this works, folks. Just do it, okay? Write down the word track, practice the word track, get it in your mind, and make the sale. Folks, till we meet again, keep up the great work and never stop learning.